So when we combine those words, tax pro and marketer, marketing, as you know from being in the industry for a while, a lot of tax pros have mixed feelings about marketing.
Yes.
Whether we should be doing it, whether we're doing it right, whether we're doing it wrong, whether we're wasting money, whether we need to be doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of tax pros don't even necessarily invest in their marketing.
Right.
So can you orient me to what you guys do and how a tax pro that maybe is a little bit more skeptical about marketing or unsure,
Yeah.
is marketing important? Should everybody be doing it? How do you think through those kinds of things?
I think the answer is yes, and that's biased, of course, but I would say, what's the downside of putting yourself in a position where you've got more leads, you look the part, and you increase your opportunities for long-term scale and growth? So if you ever want to sell your practice, if your practice is built on your relational pull with your clients, and you try and pass it on to someone as a legacy business, like a child or employee or whomever, or sell it, if the business is tied to you, I think that's actually a liability.
Okay.
I think that's a liability, and I think it's also fair to say, even at this event, Andy, compared to other events we go to where there's some big firms here, but there's also a lot of small firms
That's right.
at this event.
And that's what I was trying to get at by that question, right?
Right, exactly. And I think it's really fair that, I almost cut people off when they come to our booth where it's like, so you already are doing well with referrals. You're already okay. You've got 100 to 150 to 200, clients. It's not huge, but it's stable, and it could be more. And investing in marketing is like, I haven't needed to do that yet.
Okay.
So why would I do this? And the answer is, again, it just depends on your goals. In the short run, it depends on your goals. But in the long run, if you ever want to scale, having something other than just referrals is a must. And if your goals are not to grow that much, then maybe you're okay, right? There are people where it's like, maybe you don't need to do anything and you can kind of be digitally anonymous and be fine. But most people just haven't kind of thought through a 3, 5, 10-year plan. What if I do make a critical hire and I increase my capacity? Well, now you don't have enough. Now you have kind of more mouths to feed, if you will, on your team of producers that you have to keep busy. You're usually 1 or 2 employees away or 1 or 2 decisions away from saying, oh, now I do need to be visible. I need to have not only new leads, but a way to kind of stay in front of my existing clientele.
Yeah.
Marketing is more than lead gen. It's not that, but...
And that's what I wanted to touch on so in the interest of full disclosure, we've been a longtime tax pro marketer client for our tax prep and consulting business, Pronto Income Tax, and been very happy with the service over the years. I wanted to just kind of cement one point that you made, though, is that by the decision to invest in marketing and marketing systems, because you guys talk, for example, about building a machine, right? And that it's generating leads, it's generating, pricing power and value through communication, through different things that you guys do. The asset value, so increasing the asset value of your business, that's not a way that a lot of us more independent people and mom and pop, so to speak, people think.
Right.
That's a key component of what of investing in marketing, of how it can pay off even for a smaller tax business. Is that right?
I think that if you ran the math and looked at the studies, the businesses that go to sale that have a machine of lead production and lead generation that goes beyond your name, your handshakes, your long-term care of your clients, that's what happens with a lot of these firms that get sold. Is it was tied to Jimmy, who's now gone, and the clients leave. And that, I think, it's priced in. I think at times that gets priced in, that like, what's my attrition rate going to be when I buy this thing? Because it's my name on the business, my relationships. And again, sometimes it's someone on the inside that's buying you out, but a lot of times it's external. And I think that your multiple for sale goes up a lot if you can show some reports of in Orlando or in LA or in Kansas City, wherever you are. I rank really highly. My website shows up.
That's right.
I'm getting leads built on the brand's visibility online, not just on me being at events or warm referral email introductions, and all that's great. You should do all of it. You should, if you want to build something that can scale, grow, or sell for more, this is not just insurance, but it does give you a higher upside.
And the asset value, because a lot of us are more in the service provider mode, most of our work lives, we don't necessarily think about that asset value until later and you go to sell. And so in essence, what you guys are doing is giving more optionality when it comes time to do something different with the asset of your business. And I think a part of that is just of us having a different thought process, opening up. And so again, it's in the interest of full disclosure, we've been a client for a long time. So what I was surprised by when we originally became a client is that a lot of the value that we got from the services was actually more from having more pricing power with existing clients.
Right.
Yes, we do get new leads because of the marketing investments that we make, right? Yes. And yes, that's important. I underestimated, though, the value that the clients see in, for example, the email communications, because we sometimes feel as tax pros, and I know I would keep this in mind for myself as a service provider, is that I don't want to be that person, that friend who only comes around when they need money.
Yeah.
And some of us that are a little more seasonal in our business activities, I've kind of felt like that sometimes myself, right? It's like, and so to keep that conversation going, to keep that relationship pouring into it, we had where we had raised prices within one of our office locations. Rents in Los Angeles are no joke, and all the wages and everything that we pay, we provide good opportunities for people. So we needed more pricing power, and we were able to really raise our prices by 40% within 2 years without losing clients and without having, with clients still being happy to pay for their service. Right. And part of that was attributed to what you guys did, where they started to perceive differently.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because sometimes with marketing, we feel like if I'm not just pumping in new clients, how many new clients did you get me? Yeah. But we underestimate sometimes the value to existing clients, especially in a rapidly changing environment. With taxes, if things are changing, are you keeping people up to date? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's a shift that's happening across the industry at large, and maybe those that are more tax prep focused aren't thinking about this as much. But I think it's starting to work its way into the fabric of all parts of our industry. This push to want to be an advisor, what's going to be gobbled up by AI? How much of bookkeeping or tax preparations get swallowed up? And I'm not like a doom and gloom, it's all going away. I don't know, but I don't think that. But I would say, even if AI is not on the table, and if that's not like a threat, which I think it is, it's an opportunity and it's a threat. Yeah, it's both. I think that there's still a position that most tax professionals, just a tax preparer, doesn't realize that if I'm a client of you, if I'm just a general Joe Schmo American and I've got my W-2, maybe I've got a side business, or maybe I've got kids, the tax preparer says, I just got to get this filed, wipe my hands, and I'm done. And what I'm thinking is, I am terrified, scared, I don't get this, and I'm looking for you to be more. And most people just aren't occupying that space of education. Here's what's happening. Here's some opportunities. And again, there's obviously lots of different types of firms, but if you can, through email, we'll talk about email specifically, like tactically, in a second, but as in like the value of that, like in this industry or in others. But the idea of just saying, you as a tax preparer, an accountant or a bookkeeper, you actually have the opportunity, it's not a given, but the opportunity to occupy this space to be an advisor. Now, you're not their investment advisor. You might not have insurance as well. You don't have to be a one-stop financial service shop. But people look to their tax professional. Some people choose not to be. They just want to submit the paperwork, file, and be done. But like you said, Andy, if you can add value, help break down what's happening with timely, good content, not a newsletter, and maybe that phrasing is a little weird, but we don't call our email a newsletter. A newsletter to us is like an aggregated email with like links to other articles, links to other things. This is like Andy sat down once a week to write his customers and prospects something worth reading. Hey, what's happening with this one big, beautiful mess of a bill, and what does that mean for you? And it's shifting and changing. People actually want to know. They want to know more than you think. So like our email open rates, I think it was July 22nd for that week, or 27th, it was one of those weeks. our email open rate across all clients was 57%.
Which is actually pretty crazy.
That's really high. It's really high that, almost 60% of leads and customers would say, I'm going to open this email and read it. Why? You control their sensitive financial life. They trust you, even if you're just doing preparation. There's more in that relationship that you can leverage, not in a negative sense, but like, hey, let me help you. You don't want to know about this stuff. You want me to know about this stuff, but can I break it down for you in like layman's terms and help you feel safe, help you see opportunities, help you understand not just the bombastic headline articles that you're seeing on your news sites of CNN or Fox News or wherever you go. Like, here's really what matters. That's this space that when you're doing that, like you said, Andy, allows you to say, I'm going to charge more. And they're like, I love the value you bring. I love that you're doing a good job. And that's on you and your team, Andy, for doing a great job. I'm not doing it. You are. But there's some positioning that does happen from regular, ongoing content outside of when you need something, which is what you said. I don't just need updated paperwork. I don't just need your updated W-2. I need to go beyond that and say, let me just add value to this relationship without getting anything. People love that. People read emails. They don't read spammy emails. They don't read emails that aren't just, or are just simple, basic, here's our new blog post, click the link. People don't read that. But if you are occupying that space or wanting to occupy that space for a lead of being their tax advisor, their tax preparer, you can lean into saying, hey, let me tell you more about what I'm seeing. And that, for one, Andy, tell me if I'm wrong, I actually think you guys are doing great with email. Like on the Pronto Tax School side of things, we were just talking about it on the way in. It's like, we love what Andy's doing on his email content.
Thank you.
But it takes time, doesn't it?
Right. And that's what I was going to say because that's part of the, I don't want to say, is it a hang up or is it kind of the hesitation of, I could be sitting here as a tax pro and say, I agree with everything you just said. Yeah. And like, I'm all for it, but the time aspect of actually doing it. Yes. So that's the kind of easy button of the tax pro marketer, where I have a background in email marketing where, I've sent probably more emails than I could even count, but it's hard to be consistent with it when you're busy serving your actual clients, when you're busy, supporting your team members, mentoring them, nurturing them. And so that as tax pros, to have a baseline of we have stuff going out, we know that it's good. And so to kind of like move to another topic, because I feel like one of the things that's interesting about your background is that so Nate Haggerty, the previous CEO and I believe founder of Tax Pro Marketer, and this is something that I think maybe will be connected to some of the stuff that we were just talking about, but there's kind of this, Nate's still super young and, very handsome, a great guy, but kind of the generational where, you guys had it interesting where he was sort of mentoring you, you were on the team, and kind of proved your abilities in the role that you were in. Now you've become the CEO. And for CEOs and leaders, it's one of the things I really respect about Nate is that's kind of like difficult for a lot of us to think about having another leader in our business. Yeah. And so that's something that maybe we don't talk about as much. And even as we've been in the forum here, it's been interesting that people are talking about things like, who's going to take over my business? How do I mentor? How do I nurture? And could you tell us a little bit about how that transition went of leadership? Maybe even what were some of the challenges with it, because it can't be all peaches and cream, I would imagine.
It's not.
Okay. So you're going to keep it real with me, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would say, and I own 2 other businesses myself. I've been an entrepreneur since I was in high school, and I'm dealing with the same thing in those businesses of, I'm leaned in on Tax Pro Marketer. This is my main thing, but I've got, and I'll maybe store it for another time, but I've got some seasonal businesses I've ran since I've been, 18.
You're in the fireworks business.
I'm in the retail fireworks space, which is a total off-the-wall bananas thing. It just
fits with the tax business that you're in a totally other random business, though.
Yeah, it's
especially
hilarious.
Involving fire.
Yeah,
I mean, it's perfect.
It's great
in its own way.
And I feel it there. So I'm 35. I'm not in my 40s yet, but I'm already feeling. I've got 4 kids. I've got multiple businesses. And how do you scale something? You have to delegate and give away control. And that's hard when you've built it around yourself. When you've built it around your own processes, the way your brain works, it's not automated, it's not systematized. It's just, in fireworks, it's more of that for me. But I think for a lot of tax preparers, it's that way too, where it's like, I'm just doing things the way I've done them. I haven't gone through the process of saying, here's how to do everything A to Z. I've codified, I've streamlined, I've made training materials. That takes time. That's one part of scaling, is that solopreneur to a few employees. You have to start to codify everything in your brain. Tax Pro Marketer is more than one employee, and it has been for a long, long time. We're up to like 25 people on our team. So I entered in 10 years ago to, a healthy business. It's grown a lot in the last 10 years. But there was 9 or 10 employees. Again, we're up to 25 now. We've more than doubled our revenue. Like, we're a bigger entity now. So it was a song and dance of, trying to diagnose for Nate, who I think what helps Nate a lot in this conversation is he always, from the beginning, has been trying to not do everything.
Okay.
To do the things that only he cares about.
Okay.
And I wouldn't call Nate a control freak at all. I wouldn't call him that. I would call him he's got things he really cares about that are kind of his babies. And those were the things that are most important to him, that from speaking to email writing to, being on stage or some of the key relationships, some of those things took some time to feel like he's comfortable with letting go of. I think that was hard for him. And I think he would say that, yeah, of course, I built it and it's emotional and it's complicated things there, but also
it's a bit of a sacrifice in a way by the person.
Yes.
Because they have to sort of, would you feel it's accurate to say that, because you were, when I first saw you speaking and stuff and you and Nate would speak together, I'm like, man, this is, the young guy's he's really talented. And it's almost like you want the opportunities at your company to be big enough for the people at your company. So in a way, I feel like it was like stepping back and having you become CEO. Mm-hmm. In a way, it would be hard to keep you in the business because you would find another right-sized opportunity for you. And that's a lot of our challenges even in the tax business, is that we will mentor people and it's hard to keep the most talented people.
It's hard.
Right?
And I did have a lot of opportunities. I was actually sharing with some of my team members that came in with us out to this event on our way in from Kansas City. I was actually sharing some of the before Tax Pro Marketer, how did I get here? And I was always going to probably eventually be a CEO, whether it was in my father's business or my own things I was doing.
Yeah.
And I think Nate saw that, and there was plenty of frank conversations of and maybe here's something that's actually tangible as I'm kind of ranting.
Yeah.
And open-handedness on both sides helps a lot.
So would you say then that one of the keys is to say the things that maybe are even a little bit uncomfortable and actually get it out on the table?
Yeah. I think open communication never yields bad things. I think where things break down is where there's a lot of unspoken expectations or unspoken things or assumptions being made. And I think it's hey, I'm doing this with a guy right now in one of my other businesses. It's there is a pathway to you to eventually be an equity owner. He's been there 18 months. He's 10 years younger than me. He's 25, super sharp and better than me and more motivated than me in that business in lots of ways. And it's let me try and tell you, this doesn't have to go this way for this to be a success for you, but there is a path with enough time and me feeling comfortable to give you opportunity as opposed to starting over. So again, you can, as a tax preparer, I'm working under Andy. Andy's built some great thing. I'm the, mentee. He's grooming me. I could start my own thing.
Yeah.
But there's also a bigger pie if I stay with Andy and helping cast some of that vision of giving Andy some of his time back. Hey, I can free you up, Andy. I could step in and take these roles on. And that was a part of what even my mentoring, another guy that mentored me through this, it's Nate is looking for you to go and just take things from him. And knowing your leader and their style is helpful. You and Nate are different. So maybe that wouldn't have worked as well, but it's kind of banging down the door and saying, as the younger guy, I'm ready to do this. And also with honesty, if that's not an option, that's okay. It's not wrong. It's not moral. I might eventually do my own thing. But just saying on mine, it's I got to be vice president before I was CEO. And that was basically a trial run. It was a trial run of letting me have 2 years of kind of running meetings and helping with hiring, getting into the finances, making more strategic decisions, not just being the sales guy and setting strategy, but saying, hey, let me try and step in with you, where it's kind of, we're both on this tandem bicycle, if you will. We're both pedaling. And Troy as well is right in that mix. Troy's our former COO, still around, of course. He is very much a part of this conversation as well, not just Nate. And I would say like that combination of, giving me this 2-year period to try things on. There's no long-term commitment, open-handedness. I think that would be one thing Nate brought to the table, where there was a level of transparency. I was clear enough on my end. They were clear enough on their end. I didn't just get thrown in. I had some help. But then eventually when I was CEO, they kind of really did go and do other things. And it was me and Eugenia and others who are still doing it. And struggle's the wrong word, but we had to find our way. Like, there's only so much you can learn, without having just doing it. Hiring on your own, running agendas and training and leadership meetings, setting trajectory, investing in our marketing budget. Where are we going to go? What are we going to sell? And even, Andy, we might get here today, but like, we're launching a new package today that's been driven solely by my leadership team and me. And making
so
those
if it
strategic
fails,
decisions.
it's your fault.
It is. And like, I want that burden. Like, and I also, it took a while to feel comfortable as a younger guy. What if I fail? And I think Nate did a great job too of always saying, when he started the business, their first event, they oversold, they couldn't deliver, and they were in serious debt very fast into the beginning of this business. Long story short, it's like they sold something, and the vendor that was supposed to deliver on it on a lot of like print marketing materials just flopped. And so you have these cancellations rolling in, and we got through it. It was the very beginning of the business, but like just a story of like, I don't need to posture or act like I am all put together and I know everything. Like a level of humility, openness and humility to say, if you're going to be a successful CEO, if you're going to be a successful leader, you have to be comfortable with risk.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to be comfortable with learning. You have to be comfortable with taking swings, and even bringing on a mentee to like eventually take it on. That would be one thing I would want to encourage people to like. It doesn't always work out the way it did for us. It doesn't. But that muscle, that exercise is actually really healthy. It's really healthy to walk that path, if you want it, of bringing someone on that you can train and mentor, because it helps you teach, which I think is a good skill. It helps you codify things. It helps you put things together in a way that puts your business in a position where you want to be scalable. And that is like in the marketing world, that is the buzzword. Are you scalable? I don't know that's much in the tax preparation space. It's not that it's not, but like in the marketing world,
we're more afraid of scaling. We're like, if I scale, then I will scale myself into where I am just working all the time and I hate my life. Yeah. So I'm trying to avoid hating life. So scaling is a little bit like the marketing people are always super hyped about scaling.
Yes.
Tax people scared of scaling. What does that mean for me? And so I wonder if we move towards, this has been a really good conversation on the lower ticket item. So without turning this into a full TPM, tax pro marketer commercial.
Yes.
So still on that keeping it real vibe. You guys are creating a kind of a lower cost entry point for your services.
Yes.
As being the CEO and making that call, and I've made certain similar calls, is you are potentially concerned sometimes about cannibalizing, quote unquote, your existing business. Do people downgrade and all that? So that's why the CEOs sort of get paid well a lot of times, because those kinds of decisions can go right or go wrong.
Right.
And they have consequences, right? Can you tell us what, from a numbers point of view, like for a lower ticket, like what kind of investment would I make? Should I make? How do I make sure I'm getting ROI from whatever that I would invest into my marketing? Why did you maybe decide to do a lower ticket item? Those kinds of things. And see if maybe for the analytical, because a big part of our tax pro audience is, we think we're analytical. We think we're like running numbers all the time and stuff. So talk us through like a little bit maybe of the numbers of it too.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I know it's a broad question.
No. So we've got historically 2 packages that can both add on paid advertising. So we have a package called our Essentials package. It's usually $697 a month, and we have our Core package that's normally $1497 a month. So $700 to $1,500. You can add on ads for $1,200 to either one. For an established, mature $500,000 to $1 million firm, you should do the Core package, because I'm doing everything for you. I'm like your in-house marketing. I'm doing those emails that we do for Andy. Andy is a Core package client. Andy has that service suite of website management, SEO, blogging, email, social media. It's everything, with the potential add-on of paid ads on Facebook or Google. Historically, 10 years ago, when I first started here, we had a lower ticket offer that we actually, I've been pre-COVID, we would go to 8 events a summer. We'd go to 4 or 5 IRS forums. I've been going to these for a long time, and we would sell a $97 or a $197 or $297 a month package.
Okay.
And then we transitioned to say, hey, and that was like a social media email only package.
Okay.
And as I came on, we developed SEO, we developed our website strategy, we developed ads. The world changed a lot. We became a full service agency 8 years ago or so. And instead of letting clients choose their own adventure, where all you're getting is social media, we found, just data-wise, social media on its own, or even email on its own, while we've discussed the value of that today, it's not as much lead gen focused.
Okay.
When I talk to someone on the phone for a sales call for Tax Pro Marketer, there's exceptions, but by and large, you're not going to grow your business on organic Facebook posting. It's a good thing to do, but it's not going to be gangbusters to say, I set up a new business Facebook page that's got 10 followers and I'm posting every day. That's not going to move the needle. So we went to, if you're paying us to grow. So let's put these in packages or programs. We call them actually programs now. Here's the program you need to run that includes the things. That's the essentials and that's the core package. That's done for you. And yet, we present on CPA Academy a lot. I speak at events. We go to these forums. And I run into a ton of people that say, Christian, I'm in, but I can't afford $700 a month. And what we've said is,
okay,
I can't help. But there are lower ticket services, and I won't name names, but there's cheaper options than us that I think, you know what? We have the software stack. We have the know-how. We have some of the things that out of the box in a lower ticket environment would be better than what most people have. So my main reason for launching this package is I think there's a large group of people we bump into through, again, webinars, CPE settings, live events, where we could bring something to the table that would move the needle more than what they currently have, which is a lot of times, why do I have this site? I'm not getting anything from it. Why am I posting this content? It's not working. And so our startup package is what we're calling it. Our startup package is normally $397, but if you sign up at this event, I know this won't be posted probably before we're well gone, but we're going to probably give people a 2-week, and Andy, to your audience, we'll probably do this as well, a 2-week or some time frame of, you can lock this in at $297 a month and have us provide a number of things that off the bat are going to help you a lot. And also, it's not as robust as our bigger packages. So I can get into that, but does that make sense?
And so maybe it helps me kind of grow into, see some results.
Yes.
From that, see some ROI, because again, we're kind of that, we think that we're an analytical group of people of if I pay this much, if I pay $297 a month, I want to see, I would always use from just my dad's rule of thumb of, I want to see 3x back whatever that I paid. Right. So that kind of lets me test that out, see if that works, see if I like working with you guys.
Yes.
And that does make sense to me. And I think that there's a lot of people, it's interesting with the pricing thing where, I know it's become fashionable to where it's have less clients and just charge more. And I'm one of those zig when other people zag type of individuals to some degree, because I just feel like the herd is typically running off a cliff. That's what my normal thought process is. That served me well, and maybe as other times not as well. But I think with regard to that movement of, you always have to be charging more, you have to be whatever. There's a lot of people in our industry where this is a part-time business for them. This is something that's an important part of their life, and it's an important part of their income. But when they say, I can't afford $700 a month, or I can't, if our base membership is $297 a year, right? And they say, I can't afford that. Maybe that's just where they're at in their situation. Maybe they're making an amount that doesn't make sense to them. So you kind of have to have some respect for people for where they're at, and to meet them where they're at, and give some options. So I think that makes sense. To wrap up this conversation, and it's cool with that too, because you can, at events like this, you can get direct feedback from people, right?
Yes.
Is that like you'll be able to see how many people signed up for that?
We'll be making our first couple sales on this,
right.
And we'll be, marketing, and I think business in general is always about testing. So we have a plan. It's not that we don't have a package that's put together with deliverables, but I think that our goal as a company is to be responsive to the market, to be engaged with our clients and understand. And so, yeah, we'll be launching this, and maybe eventually we'll get on a podcast or a webinar with you and throw it to the Pronto crowd. But this is a way, like you said, to meet some people where they're at, where it's not, $8,000 a year doesn't make sense. 15 to 20 grand a year doesn't make sense. Totally fine. You can make progress from a marketing infrastructure, systems, planning, ways. So I'll get away from, I won't give you the deliverables, but I agree. It's trying to respond to the market, and there's a push away from some of those lower tier services from not just marketing agencies, but I think in the tax space, as you mentioned.
Right.
And there is a way with thoughtful planning to serve them without crushing your team. That's the fear, is like, oh my God, we're gonna bring in all these clients and we can't serve them. And it's like, I think we've worked through that and have a way to kind of come back full circle to what we used to do. And it's kind of funny, there's nothing new under the sun. We're back to some type of experiment.
It's kind of back to your roots in a certain way.
Back to our roots, yes.
Like a vintage or a throwback. So
yes.
I think it'd be interesting, and I think it'd be interesting for a lot of people in our network who might be listening to this podcast, because some of the feedback we get from our podcasts and even from our main business, right, is we're one of the education and training providers that we try to be accessible to everybody.
Yes.
That's part of my vision of what I enjoy so much, is like the person that, has no background at all, that kind of gets into the business sometimes more accidentally, even, like maybe a relative, and they turn out to be very successful. And they turn out to be successful not just in the sense of, monetarily, but making a difference for their clients, in their community, like being, that trusted person financially. Because we got to remember, the vast majority of Americans have no financial professional that they truly trust other than their tax professional.
Exactly.
And we underestimate that a lot of times. Exactly. You guys have that built into a lot of services and messaging that you provide. And so to wrap up this kind of robust, free-flowing conversation, what do you think for the more independent tax professionals? So it could be, a family business.
Yeah.
It could be a person that's doing this part-time. And one of the interesting things about the tax industry is there's so much variations. You have like, like we talked to a lady earlier today that they're doing 85 million in revenue.
Oh my gosh.
And then we talked to, other people that they're doing $85 in revenue.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and yes. I kind of like that, yes. I like the variety. I like that you can choose your own adventure and kind of thing. And so I know that this may not be, kind of applicable to everybody, but in your, you have a pretty wide view of the industry. You guys have all these other clients that you're serving. You attend events like this. What to you is like one opportunity, if you had to just choose one, that's really interesting that us independent tax pros maybe aren't paying enough attention to, that we should over the next maybe like 1 to 2 years? Like, what's something that we should really like look more into as an opportunity for us, for that group of people that were more independent pros?
Yeah, I love that.
We're wild, we're rebellious.
I've got something that comes to mind, and just stop me if this isn't helpful. But so I'll talk about my own accountant. So my own accountant, she bought the business out from the gal who originally owned it and started it, and her name's Dawn. I'll let her last name be anonymous, but Dawn took it over. And the reason I started with this group originally is, I had a couple businesses, like I mentioned. I needed my taxes done. I needed help on the business and personal front. And one of their pitches to me was tax planning. And I had no idea what that was. I mean, being a tax pro marketer for just a couple years at that time, like I kind of had some knowledge, but like going through it again, I would say I'm an evangelist for it to my friends, my network. I've sent Dawn dozens of young folk like me. Again, referral marketing is great when you build trust with people. It can be great. So is digital marketing, but I have pumped so many good quality leads, good quality people to Dawn, because some of the simple tax planning changes she's done, it's both a value add that's not rocket science. Some of it can be 201 stuff. Like I was at a tax planning conference speaking a few weeks ago, and I'm talking with people that are offering $50K, $100K tax plans to save millions. Like some of the solar credit stuff that they were explaining to me is just like, this is bizarre.
Transferring solar credits, and I'm like, what planet am I on? Am I on,
There was a guy, a vendor there who's like, we've got an NBA player that makes $40 million a year, and we're going to do this thing. And it's like, that's like way down the rabbit hole. You don't need to do that to do tax planning. I would say opportunity-wise, it's cross-sells. I'd say the easiest client to sell is the one you already have.
Okay.
So new leads is great, but back to like value-based, either price raising or selling, if you can find an add-on, whether it's bookkeeping, and I do bookkeeping with her as well, whether it's the business tax side, get into that, or just tax planning of like, hey, make them an S Corp. If it makes sense, obviously you have to do your due diligence, but go the S Corp route and avoid self-employment taxes. Talk about the Augusta rule. Talk about some of these things that, like, I'm not a tax preparer, but like I've become conversational with enough basic things because it's like, as a business owner, I'm so glad she's not just doing my taxes, and that makes her sticky because she's not just my tax preparer. She's gone past that to say, there's more I can do. I can make it monthly, so I'm not paying just one big fee once a year. I'm working with her monthly. We're doing quarterly meetings, and I could go through a full list of everything she's had me do. And it's great. And I know some people are like, that's risky, or I don't want to, go to places that are like gray, and I don't think they're gray, but you would know. I think everything I've done has been way above board, but that's not most preparers. And so if you're sitting on a base of 100 clients, I think the thing I'd ask myself is, yeah, you need new leads, but what can you bring to the table now that adds more value and also brings more revenue? If it's bookkeeping, that's easy-ish. Like, there's a lot of on-roads to that with lots of AI software nowadays, or just getting into QuickBooks, right? There's so much there. It's easier than ever. Tax planning, I'd say the first thing I would consider as an opportunity, again, with this wave of, in 5 years, what does the IRS look like in terms of simple tax returns? In 5 years, what does it look like in terms of automation, even on bookkeeping? I think that those that want to, you shouldn't lose sleep at night over this stuff, but you should be thoughtful. I think there's a level of like sea change right now. Just the wind direction is moving, and it's fun. It's not bad. It's tools to help you leverage doing more for your clients with less hours from you. Sure, that's true too. But I think that, like we've talked about from an email perspective, or what I'm saying now from a value add new service perspective, be an advisor. Even if you're a preparer, talk about being an advisor. Even if it's just like giving this tax season a couple of things of like, hey, I want to do a mid-year check-in. Just want to do a call with you in July. I want to talk about some things that maybe you could work on that will help us at the end of the year. Even if it's just in preparation, like getting this done, getting this, withholding moved and adjusted. Let's just make sure some of these actionable things are going to kind of take effect, because how many preparers take on dumpster fires and then they don't change year to year? And it's a mess.
Why were you looking at me when you said that?
I don't know. I'm not thinking of anyone in particular.
So it's interesting that you bring up the tax planning thing, because I've been somewhat teasing some of the hype around tax planning, because I feel like it's the hype is at a fever pitch right now.
Yeah.
But that being said, in our own business, what we're doing right now is seeding the opportunity to sell more tax planning.
Yes.
By the emails.
Yes.
So the emails we're laying the groundwork for those considerations of thinking ahead, not just thinking backwards. So right. I appreciate you bringing that up. I agree that that's a tremendous opportunity, and just really thank you for your time, your efforts, for us and for your other clients and for the industry as a whole. We really appreciate it, and glad we had a chance to sit down. Albeit it might be a little noisier than the normal podcast environment. Thanks as well to our engineer, Melda, that's made it happen. And best of luck with everything, man. Look forward to continuing to be a part of your world.
Thank you. Thank you to you guys. Appreciate you guys hosting us today, and glad to have you at a forum with us. This is
awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.